Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, March 15th, 2014. This is episode 1065. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Prosper. Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace which connects people who are looking to borrow money with those who have money to lend. Visit prosper.com/twit and receive a $50 Amazon gift card when you get a loan. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Apple and Android carrier products are worth at gazelle.com. And by Ring Central, the cloud-based phone system we use at Tech Guy Labs just got better with the launch of Meetings, the full-service video conference feature. Zero startup costs, and Ring Central starts at under $25 per month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial, and when you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free up to a total of 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWIT. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And time to talk computers and the internet, cell phones, camcorders. Camcorders? Where'd that come from? Home theater? MP3 players? No. GPS devices? No. Smartphones, home theater, digital photography, all that jazz. If it's got a chip in it, we'll talk about it. Even GPS devices, even old stuff like that. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside the area, you just call me via Skype, and you should be able to reach me. 888-827-5536. Toll free. You'll be saying hello to Kim Schaefer, the phone ranger for the week. Heather Hammond still in Africa. Yes, is that right, Kim?
As far as I know, yes. Unless she's just decompressing.
Unless she's been eaten by a lion. She got the elephant selfie. We asked her to get a lion selfie. Do you do selfies? Selfies are kind of crazy idea.
I refuse to do selfies.
Yeah. I do too.
I don't know.
I do too. Maybe that's it. Maybe if you're young and you're looking for love, you do more selfies than if you're old. I don't know.
I see people of all ages doing them, but it's just not my thing.
Seems a little self-centered.
It's very self-centered.
Maybe we just have to get over that. I remember the first time I wrote a blog post. I created a blog back in, must have been 2000, thereabouts. I thought, this is awfully self-centered of me, writing about myself on the internet. But, of course, that's what makes the internet so interesting is the contributions of all those people talking about something they know about or something they're interested in. You kind of have to get over, I guess, that solipsism, that self-centeredness, and say, yeah, I have something to say, and say it. I guess there's interesting ways to do this selfie. The guy one of the guys who created Twitter, Jack Dorsey, has his own selfie style. He takes a picture of himself, but he's only half of his face is in the frame, and then it's something over his shoulder that's interesting. So it kind of puts him in the frame. I guess that's interesting. A little better than just a big picture of himself all the time. You could tell the people who really just like how they look, and they just you go on Instagram and all they put just pictures of themselves over and over and over again, or Facebook pictures of themselves over and over and over again. Then there's the people who take pictures of themselves. In fact there's an iPhone app for this that takes a picture of yourself every day, and it has positioning guides in the camera so that if you did this, and I tried and I got tired of it after about 5 days, but if you did this every day for a few years, you could then make a movie of yourself aging. See, what a terrible idea. That's an awful idea. What am I thinking? They make cameras that are designed for selfies. The the computer and technology industry, they've understood this is a popular thing. And so they have now cameras. In fact, the Samsung Galaxy S4 and Galaxy Note phone, and I'm seeing other phones do this as well. I think the LG Flex did this. Well, you'll take a picture of something, and they'll put a picture of you, little framed picture of you on the picture. Like, I can't have a picture of anything without me in it. That's ridiculous. Crazy. But I'm still waiting. I thought, if you're going to do a selfie, I like the idea of do a selfie with a lion in it or something like that. That would be of interest. Vincent van Gogh did a selfie, didn't he? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The self-portrait is, I guess, an early version of the selfie. Somebody has posted a link to the chat room of a person with a picture of themselves with a cheetah. There you go. The reason I'm mentioning this is because Apple has added a new category to the App Store for programs that take selfies. Oh, I didn't really explain what a selfie is. You've probably figured it out by now. It's a picture of yourself. It's a picture of yourself. If you go to the iTunes App Store, there's a new section called Sharing Selfies. I think somebody is going to write a paper about this. Like, this generation just loves pictures of themselves. There's Picked, which I guess is that one of the programs that makes you take a picture of yourself every day. Front Back, I guess you can guess what that is. Oh, Every Day, that's the one I use. $1.99 every day. Take a picture of yourself every day. Snapchat, I guess people do selfies with Snapchat mostly. Snapdash, 1 second every day. Shots. President Obama did a selfie, didn't he? With the Prime Minister of Denmark and David Cameron, the Prime Minister of England. That's quite a selfie. Of course, Ellen did the most famous selfie of all now at the Academy Awards. Even the Pope has done a selfie. Selfie is one of the new words in the Oxford English Dictionary. They add words every year to acknowledge the fact the language is always changing. The new words in the Oxford dictionaries: selfie, emoji, those are those little icons making faces and things. Phablet, I thought I made that up. That's the giant phones that look like tablets, like the Galaxy Note. Phablet. Buzzworthy. Seriously, not seriously like SERIOUSLY, seriously SRSLY, seriously, like you'd type in a text message. Digital detox, I've never heard that one before. Bitcoin, that makes sense. FOMO, do you know what FOMO means? FOMO, fear of missing out. I think if you're going to, and of course twerking. If you're going to start including acronyms, abbreviations, you're never going to stop. You're never going to end up done. The Pope's selfie is they say, according to the Telegraph of Great Britain, which never lies. They took this picture this week, actually today. The first papal selfie. Pope Francis had his picture taken inside of St. Peter's Basilica with kids from the Italian diocese of Piacenza and Bobbio. There's just something odd about a papal selfie. I kind of like the selfies where you are, like Ellen's selfie or this papal selfie, where you're, or even President Obama's selfie, where like you're with other people and you want to see what, take a picture of you with them. I guess that's all right. It's kind of like showing where you've been, what you've done. But man, imagine you're a teenager from a small town in Italy making a pilgrimage to see the Pope. And then the kids said, hey, come here. Let's take a picture. Wow. That is quite something. Quite. 8888 ask Leah, what if you could take a selfie of yourself, what would you like to take a selfie of yourself with? Who would you like to take? I think if you can get a picture of yourself and a lion, that's a good selfie. Cuz that shows that you're doing something brave, I guess. Depends how close the lion is. 8888 ask Leo. The website techguylabs.com, and our show notes and lots more, including a link to the chat room at techguylabs.com. We'll take your calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You think this is the first selfie ever?
I know. You say you're going to do it, and you know you need to do it, but most small businesses...
That is not the first selfie ever. I'm sure in fact, what was the name of the woman who was a street photographer who never was known until after her death? Vivian Meyer. She took quite a few selfies. In fact, on the cover of the book about her is a selfie. And this would have been from the 30s, I think, maybe later. She did quite a few. Her photography is amazing. She was a nanny and never, nobody ever saw her. She didn't show any of her pictures or anything till after she was dead. So self-portraits, here we go. She did a lot of self-portraiture. She's in a lot of her pictures. The queen of the selfie, one might say. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 ask Leo. I don't hear any music, but I'm going to assume that we're back. Why not? Nathan, are we back? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, all right. All I got was a boop. Then I guess that means I'm here. It's time. I'm on.
Phone dropping.
Yeah, boop. So, Kim Schaefer, looks like you have filled up the board with lovely people.
I have.
Who should I talk to first here?
Well, Rob in Laguna Beach is got a new building, and he wants to wire it, but it's under a budget, and he wants to know the necessary items.
We did a little of that here. We tore out about $30,000 worth of old Ethernet cable to put in faster Ethernet cable. Hi, Rob. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Yeah, we have we're actually remodeling an old church, and it's a very large structure, but it's going to be very residential. And right now, it's all exposed, studs and stuff. So we can kind of do whatever we want with it. And I'm pretty much of a tech novice, but my wife and I like background music going on in all the different rooms, and we're not big television people, but we like to watch movies. And so, in fact, most of the time we're telling our kids to turn down the movie, but...
Well, obviously what you really want is internet everywhere, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
We use a lot of internet surfing and things like that. But, my real question, too, is for the future, is there some kind of wiring thing that I wish I would have done when we had the opportunity?
Yeah, because you got it open now, don't you?
Right.
The irony of all this is for years I told people, if you've got the walls open, and this goes back to the 90s, if you've got the walls open, put in fiber or Ethernet or coax or all three and blah, blah, blah. And then wireless networking just kind of took over.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything we do now is wireless. But we're going in the other direction again, because as everybody gets wireless and there's Wi-Fi everywhere, if you do a little Wi-Fi analysis, in fact, I would recommend this. There are a number of good Wi-Fi analyzers for phones and computers. You could just see what the spectrum is around your new home. If you see a lot of signals, then Wi-Fi is going to be of less use. And also, there's more using it. For instance, I use a wireless music system called Sonos that has its own network, not Wi-Fi, but it's on the unregulated 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. That's where most Wi-Fi is. And it just clobbers my internet Wi-Fi. Fortunately, I have a dual band router. I was able to use the 5 gigahertz band for the internet and let Sonos have the 2.4, and that solved a lot of problems. But that's just in my own house without any interference. Now you probably have neighbors. The nice thing about 5 gigahertz, the higher frequency bandwidth, it doesn't go through walls as well, so your neighbors won't impinge on you. On the other hand, it may not travel through your own walls as well. So
Yes.
I think people are increasingly looking at wired as a solution.
Right.
What you may end up doing is putting a wireless adapter at the end of each wire so that everything doesn't have to be plugged into that wire. But if every room or two has an Ethernet jack connected to your main internet access, then you could put a little wireless access point on each of those. In any event, yeah, well, they may, that can get complicated too, because they'll interfere with each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My opinion is you probably, since you've got them open, would like to put some copper in there. There are several choices. There's Cat 5 is the old copper, and that goes up to about 100 megabits per second. If you want to go faster, which you will, you want 5E, which is enhanced. And then there's even faster than that. There's Cat 6. So you can go bigger and bigger, but the price goes up and up, doesn't it?
Yeah. We were considering 5E, and the installer was talking to me about 6, and I didn't know if that's anything. I mean, I know
6 lets you go to a billion bits per second, or gigabit Ethernet.
Wow.
Now, nothing is future-proof, but... And I hate to even say this because I can remember people saying, 640 megabytes of RAM is all you'll ever need. So I can't really say all you'll ever need is a gigabit. But a gigabit's enough to move video pretty well through the network to copy files pretty fast. I don't know how much more Cat 6 is. The other thing that you can get, and this is even more expensive, is bundled coax and Ethernet, and maybe even fiber. Fiber would be kind of unlimited.
Right.
Now we ended up putting in, what did we put in, Alex? 6 or 5E? Did we put in 6? We put 6 in. So that was a great expense. They had Cat 5 in, and at a cost of $30,000, we replaced all the wiring in the studio with Cat 6 so that we could do gigabit.
Yeah.
And we still use fiber optic cable for moving the big video files. That's glass cable, and that's really expensive.
Yeah.
So in other words, the sky's the limit.
I think the budget is
the budget's the limit, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is, by the way, Cat 6E, but that's not really a standard yet, and I wouldn't worry about it. Gigabit is probably all you really want to do. I guess the question, what we really have to kind of think about is how much, for instance, music you could do wirelessly. In fact, you almost want to do wirelessly.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat room said, "Oh, don't worry, home users won't be transmitting uncompressed 4K video." Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know. I wouldn't predict that one way or the other. Who knows? All I know is that the more you put in, the more you need, and it only takes 5 years or 10 years. You're going to be living there for a while.
Yeah.
I would look at it. What I think, if you said no cable TV, or you're not worried about cable TV?
No, I mean, I guess what my comment there is we do have cable. We're going to have cable TV, and we have that plan. But I was thinking in terms of wiring for.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do. And this is more expensive, but M. Heiss has it right. When you have the cable put in, instead of just putting in the cable, put in conduit. And a tube, basically. You'll run the cable through it, but if you want something else, it's easy to run more through it later.
That's a great idea.
You don't have to get into the wall or anything. You put a tube in there, and you want to put something more. You could pull out the copper if you wanted to put something better in. You can always do more.
That's a great idea. Yeah, that gives you all kinds of versatility.
Yeah. So I would and conduit's cheap.
Yeah.
That's a simple thing to do. So I guess while you got the walls open, conduit. Now when we built the studio, one of the things we wanted was hardwired drops everywhere. Like by my desk, I have a porthole because we were lucky. We had a floor we could go underneath into the basement and we could run wire. So we have Cat 6 Ethernet to every single possible, workstation in the building. We have video, we have audio, and we have phone, and we just put all of that in. Obviously, that's kind of crazy, but do have a licensed electrician do it, or somebody who knows what they're doing, because they'll know to avoid, for instance, at going too near the power lines, which, you put all that in, and all of a sudden you got 60 hertz noise and everything. It's not going to work as well. So you're going to want somebody good. Somebody says conduit's hard to work with for a homeowner. Smurf tubing is corrugated tubing. It might be worth taking a look at, too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And then run string, of course. What an interesting question. Kind of went overboard there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our home theater guru is here, Scott Wilkinson. He's an editor, the editor-in-chief at the AVS Forum, avsforum.com, and hosts our... Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
I must be suddenly allergic to white beards. He's... There's two of them in the room, that's why. Scott and our
that'll
visitor.
do it to you every time,
there you go. So, Scott, I actually found a very good article about Smurf tubing on AVS, the AVS Forum.
You'll find all kinds of interesting stuff on AVS Forum.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I had never heard of Smurf tubing.
Well, and then I pointed to a website, which I'm going to put in the show notes, Stargate Unofficial. He did a home theater project starting with an empty building location through the construction. And he talks a lot about stuff, including some really good diagrams of his wall and the Smurf tubing. You've probably seen Smurf tubing. It's a blue corrugated flexible tube, and by running that, he was able. You're able to kind of plan for the unplanned future.
Exactly. M. Heiss in the chat room, my friend Mike Heiss, in fact, was the first to suggest conduits for the last caller, and I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
Because then, as you say, you don't know what the future's going to hold. You don't know what kind of wires you're going to want through the walls. If you put conduit through your walls, if you're going to open up your walls or remodel your house and do that, you might as well do it in a way that will allow it to be future-proof.
Yeah. And, of course, if you put a conduit in there, you probably want to put a string or something so you can pull more cable through it.
Yeah. Fishing line, somebody said in the chat room.
Yeah.
But this Smurf tubing, I hadn't heard of before. So
it's electrical non-metallic tubing, or ENT, and Home Depot and others have it. Somebody else in the chat room is suggesting we've really got a lot. Is PEX, PEX? So there's a lot of choices here, but I like that idea. Instead of saying, "Well, I'm going to run Cat 5 or 5E or 6," because you just don't know. Put something in there that you'll be able to run more cabling through down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, so you probably run into this. I mean, this is a home theater issue as well.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking, I guess that last caller was talking about doing wireless. And you suggested.
No, I brought up wireless because that's what changed. We used to talk about this all the time in the 90s. And then along comes Wi-Fi and everybody's wireless. And all of this tubing and cabling you'd put in the wall, you didn't even use it.
Well, yeah, but then you run into the problems you talked about, which are at 5 gigahertz. In the 5 gigahertz band, you can't easily or reliably get media content through walls.
Right.
At 2.4 gigahertz, you can, but then you're running into interference from microwave ovens and cell phones and all kinds of other stuff. So I always recommend, if you really want to stream media, audio and video, reliably without any possibility of hiccups or so on, you really want to run wired.
Yeah.
You really
especially
do.
as we get to high def, ultra high def, and
exactly 4K. I mean, somebody in the chat room said, "Well, no one's going to want to, who's going to want to stream uncompressed 4K?" Well, as we have been talking, you want to future-proof things. Right. 4K or Ultra HD is coming down the pike. There's no question about it.
What is the bandwidth required? Now, of course, uncompressed 4K, probably nobody will be setting. It's
huge. Yeah,
And
exactly.
One hopes that we are getting better at compression so we can do high quality compression.
Exactly, and there are certainly the primary compression algorithm these days for Ultra HD is called H.265 or HEVC, High Efficiency Video Codec, which is roughly twice as efficient. It compresses files down to half the size as the current H.264. So
it's really
yes,
designed for these high bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly so.
situations. Yeah,
exactly so. The new HDMI standard, what's called HDMI 2.0. Although don't let the HDMI licensing authority hear anybody say that because they don't want to use numbers anymore. But there it is. It operates at 18 gigabits per second. The previous version, HDMI 1.4, operated at 10.2 gigabits per second. So the new HDMI has almost doubled the bandwidth.
and that's more than enough, obviously. I mean,
well, it really isn't. We're already bumping up against that limit.
wow.
Ultra HD is anyway. It depends on not only the number of pixels, which is what everybody focuses on with Ultra HD.
Ultra HD is roughly 4 times the number of pixels of a high def.
It's exactly 4 times.
Four times more bandwidth, in other words.
Well,
You'd
4
need.
times more pixels.
Right.
Which ultimately, means 4 times more bandwidth unless you do this compression, which you're going to be doing, certainly. But there's even more to it than that. There is a wider color gamut and range of colors that you can reproduce or see on the TV and transmit over whatever cable. There's expanded dynamic range. There is what's called increased bit depth. So instead of representing each color, the brightness of each color by 8 bits, which is what we do now, we're talking about representing it with 10 or 12 or even 14 bits in the future, which is important when you expand the color gamut. You make a wider range of colors that you can reproduce. You need more bits in order to represent a smooth gradient of those colors.
So it's not even just more pixels, it's more bits per pixel.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Wow.
And we are already bumping up against the limits of HDMI 2.0 in talking about these other aspects of UHD. Now, I hope to learn a lot more about what is coming down the pike at the NAB show next month.
The National Association of Broadcasters show.
Correct.
Now, I have to say that HDMI is going to have more bandwidth than any Ethernet or networking solution that you use. A lot of people currently, and one of the reasons I like running a Cat 5e or Cat 6 cable, use Balins at either end and can send HDMI over Ethernet with the right converter.
Correct. And somebody in the chat room was asking me about this, running HDMI over 100 feet.
And that's how you would do it.
That's exactly how you would do it. You would take a balun, which is short for balanced, unbalanced, and basically what it does is it takes HDMI signal, it converts it into a form that can be sent down an Ethernet cable, and that can be hundreds of feet long. And then at the other end, you have another balun, which reconverts it back into HDMI, and then a short little HDMI cable to your display.
And people are making, believe it or not, HDMI 2 compatible Baluns.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if they would do UHD. That's the real problem. They'll do.
Well, I mean, presumably a balun is just a thing that carries bits, and it doesn't care what those bits are.
But it has to have enough carrying capacity, of course.
Correct. And this is one of the problems we've had when manufacturers started talking last year about, our TV now has HDMI 2.0. Well, that's sort of true, but it's not, because HDMI 2.0, the specification wasn't even finished until last September. Right. So it takes a while for chip makers to then implement that in chips, and then it takes a while longer for manufacturers to put that in their TVs and their other devices. So when they said HDMI 2.0, they only meant certain aspects of it that would still fit within a 10.2 gigabit per second bandwidth. Now, this year, we're going to start seeing true HDMI 2.0 devices. I believe Pioneer just announced their new 2014 line of AV receivers with true HDMI 2.0 with a bandwidth of 18 gigabits.
Wow. So right now, you should assume if you're going to put Ethernet in there, the best you'd be able to do is 1080p. Oh, we're out of time.
Yep.
Scott Wilkinson, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Zonk.
There's a show on Discovery, Naked and Afraid. That's a show I want to watch. What's wrong with the world? I swear to God.
What is wrong with the world? I tuned into that for a second just to see what the hell is that. And
I just saw an ad on CNN for it.
Yeah, it's apparently sort of a Survivor type show, but the people are naked.
Oh, what a concept.
What a concept.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
I think
Are you
I watched
kidding
it once,
me?
and I think they put two people that don't even know each other together.
Well,
But they don't show nudity on TV,
Well, they
so how
blur
they get,
out
they blur
it.
out
Oh,
the
that's
naughty bits.
It's
Yes.
really ridiculous.
They blur out the naughty
I
bits.
can't. Discovery Channel used to be a good channel. It's so sad.
Is that? I don't even remember. Is that on Discovery?
Yeah,
They've all gotten trashy.
trash. All right, I'm gonna let Scott take over here.
I'd be happy to. Thank you so much. Brian N6NUL in the chat room asks, why don't they just use coax with BNC connectors for HDMI? Well, because HDMI requires a bunch of separate conductors. An HDMI cable actually has, I forget exactly how many, 12 or 15 or 18 actual conductors going down the wire. Mike Heiss in the chat room, you can help me on that, I'm sure. Yes, Cadman, coax is one conductor, and that's why they don't do it. And James VA3JPX asks, what's in the rack behind you? Well, I guess you mean the equipment rack, and that's some of the equipment in my home recording studio, which is what this is, where I'm broadcasting from, is a recording studio, and some of my audio equipment is in that rack there. James Hetfield asks, what's your opinion of bias lighting for a flat panel TV? Do they work? Yes, absolutely. They work really well. I had a guy, Alan Brown, on my podcast some weeks ago, a few months ago now, I guess. Time flies when you're having fun. And he makes bias lights, and he talked about the viewing environment and the importance of the viewing environment in your ability to perceive accurate color on the screen. And one of the elements of the viewing environment is to have what's called a bias light behind the flat panel, because it biases your vision, your dynamic range, which is only so much, and then it shifts up and down depending on the ambient light level in the room. And so it shifts that ambient perception range into a more comfortable place for watching a flat panel TV. If you've watched a flat panel TV in the total darkness, which I often do during reviews, it can get uncomfortable. Your eyes can get tired, and it can be uncomfortable. So putting a bias light behind there is a really good thing, as long as it's calibrated properly. It needs to be a certain color of white, what we call technically D65, and the brightness of that light needs to be about 10% of the peak white output, of the peak light output of the TV. So if the TV is calibrated properly to about 30 foot Lamberts, I'm getting real geeky here, sorry about that, but that's what it is, then the bias light needs to be putting out about 3 foot Lamberts at this particular color of white, which presumably your TV has been calibrated to that same color of white as well, in which case then you will have a much more comfortable viewing experience. I'm usually looking at projectors these days, so I don't use a bias light, but when I am looking at my Kuro Plasma, I use a bias light. Here we go.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Moving on to another topic. David in Harbor City, California. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. My question is, I bought a Sony Blu-ray player for the purpose of putting Netflix on my TV set,
Right.
and it all works fine. But when I switch it from Netflix back to TV cable, it's randomly muting my volume.
Yeah. So are you running? You're running Are you running 5.1 surround or?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have an AV receiver, or is the Blu-ray player acting as the AV receiver?
No, I have an AV receiver also.
And the trick. So, and the Netflix is coming from the Blu-ray.
Yes.
Yeah. Scott Wilkinson is still here. So, Scott, if you want to chime in, you go ahead. I have this similar problem happening all the time, and the reason is the television set is determining is telling the receiver, I believe, using CEC, what to play. Is that right, Scott?
Well, is it true that the Blu-ray player is connected to the receiver, or is it connected directly to the TV?
The Blu-ray player is connected to the receiver.
Oh, so you have the HDMI from the Blu-ray player going into the receiver.
Correct.
Yeah,
and then an HDMI from the receiver to the TV.
Yes.
So he runs Netflix. It runs fine. You're watching a Blu-ray movie. Everything sounds great. You go to Netflix. Everything sounds great. You switch back to something else like a cable box.
It almost seems like it does it when, particularly like if I'm watching Fox News or something, when they go to commercial, it seems like it mutes. And I was just curious if maybe it had something to do with the way they broadcast. And once it mutes, if I go to my receiver and turn it from TV cable back to DVD and back to TV cable, the HDMI flashes on the screen, and then I've got my sound back.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fault in the cable box to me. Is the cable box old?
This is a common problem, by the way, with HDMI, that you get handshaking issues. I see this all the time, where what's supposed to happen is the source of the sound and video is supposed to signal, and then to the receiver, what quality video. That's why it pops up on the screen. Oh yeah, we've got 60p, 1080p, and the audio and all of that. But what I think happens a lot is the handshake fails, and then the audio drops out. First thing I would do is make sure your cables are in there nice and secure.
Yep, I agree.
HDMI stinks in that in that regard. A lot of cabling does, but I have HDMI cables that are loose. They're wobbly. Every once in a while, I'll be watching the TV and it goes, and the audio dies. I wiggle the cable and it's fine.
Huh, okay.
And that's just a connection.
Right.
I'm afraid so. Are you using really fancy HDMI cables with heavy connectors on them? Because that's one potential problem.
They pull the cable out.
They pull the cable out. They pull themselves out. Yeah.
It could be that when it was installed, the receiver got moved around a little bit or something. Or maybe
I'd reach around back, make sure everything's
exactly.
plugged in nice and solid. There are also issues about shifting from 720p to 1080i to 1080p. I have all sorts of handshaking issues at that point. The audio return channel. Well, no, you're not using audio return channel because it's not television audio. Everything is coming from the AV receiver, right?
Right.
Even when you watch the cable box, that's going into the AV receiver as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a cable. It's not inserted well. Maybe the cable box. I would see how old that is and maybe upgrade it.
Okay.
Could be the cable box. Yeah, it's sending a weird signal.
That's what I'm thinking.
Not something we can fix for sure, David, but there's some areas to look.
Okay, very good. I'll try both.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate your help.
Nice to have Scott Wilkinson still here. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Adam is in Bakersfield, California. Our next call. Hi, Adam. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well.
I'm doing well too. It's a really nice day, and I was enjoying it out here. My question is, I'm leaving. I'm in the military. And I got orders to go to Texas.
All right.
Unfortunately, I have to. My daughter, who's 5 years old, is going to be staying with her mom in California, in Bakersfield.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so the best way I'm going to try, what I'm going to try and do, when she's not visiting me, is my little 5-year-old daughter has a tablet.
Great.
It's a next book, and I want to figure out what's the best service, the best way I can send pictures and messages.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah, they don't have Wi-Fi in their apartment.
So she doesn't have internet access at all?
No, she doesn't. And I wanted to see what you could recommend.
That makes it a little challenging. You know, so many folks in the military now are using Skype to call loved ones from all over the world. They see the video and the audio, and it really is, it's so great. I know that's easy for you to do, but of course, maybe she could go to the library or somewhere, and you could Skype her once in a while. Tell me what tablet it is she has.
She has a Next book. I'm not sure exactly the model, but that's what her mom told me it was.
Okay, I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it either.
Yeah, it's an inexpensive Android tablet. If it has an SD card slot, and that's what I'm trying to find out now, then you could record yourself on a little SD card, pictures. You could send audio and video, and she could plug it in and view it. But that's going to be the question: is if she can see if there's an XD card slot on the
Yeah, well, I was actually considering on getting her cost or not so expensive Wi-Fi.
Well, one thing to think about is you could get a MiFi unit if that Next book has Wi-Fi built into it. You could get a MiFi unit. They're about Virgin Mobile has them for $30 a month. And that would give that tablet internet access. Or you could look at a tablet that has built-in internet access, a Nexus 7. Those aren't too expensive. You'd still be paying Nexus 7 from Google. You'd still be paying the $30 a month for the internet access. No, but they can go to if you can get free Wi-Fi, go to McDonald's, have a burger, and you can talk to your daughter. She can see you. You can see her. How old is your daughter?
She's 5.
Oh, you said 5. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I would talk to Virgin Mobile, and they make MiFis. They use the Sprint network, so if Sprint's okay in Bakersfield, that'll work.
Okay.
And that would give her Wi-Fi in the home. And then, of course, there's Starbucks, there's McDonald's, all over the place. There's free Wi-Fi. I know if it's hard with a 5-year-old, you want to, but mom could take the 5-year-old to a Starbucks or a McDonald's. I think it's not hard to get a 5-year-old to go to McDonald's these days. Maybe a little harder to go to Starbucks and use the Wi-Fi there. I don't know how good it is. I don't know how good it is for Skyping, but you could try it.
I'll call Virgin Mobile.
Call Virgin and see if they may also have a military discount.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of companies want to support you guys and make it possible for you to reach your loved ones. So I would ask for a military discount. And if they don't have one, maybe try AT&T or one of the other cell carriers. Thank you for your service, Adam. I appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, that's got to be tough. Do you know about Prosper? We talked about Prosper. It is a real advance in the way lending works. Not having to go into a bank, fill out these big forms, but being able to borrow, say, as much as $35,000 in the next 72 hours with peer-to-peer lending is great. What would you do with that money? I mean, think about it. You might want to do some home improvement or start a business, pay off your high-rate credit cards. Prosper makes it possible. You go to the Prosper website, you fill out an easy online application, and you can get a rate quote for yourself. And what's nice is Prosper does not affect your credit, which is very nice. 2 million members, both lenders and borrowers, over $900 million in funded loans. Prosper is fabulous. The Silicon Valley's answer to personal loans. It's a peer-to-peer lending process. That means no outrageous fees, no rising interest rates. You'll never set foot in a bank. We're seeing it all over, with peer-to-peer lending, and this is a way you can get money in the peer-to-peer system. Prosper.com/twit is the website to visit. You could check your rate instantly. Look at that, and get a loan in seconds. Right now, Prosper is offering Twit viewers a $50 Amazon gift card when you get a loan. Go to prosper.com/twit. That's a special site just for you, our viewers. Up to $35,000 in just 3 days. Get a $50 Amazon gift card when you get a loan. Prosper.com, not affiliated with Amazon. For gift card details, visit prosper.com/twit. And we thank Prosper for their support of the Tech Guy Show. Prosper.com/twit. It's 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. You can also visit our website, techguylabs.com. Great place to go to see, if I mention something, to get a link and to post your own thoughts. We divide the site. Somebody sent me an email saying, I can't find the show notes, the information on techguylabs.com. And I thought, gee, is it that hard to find? It seems like it shouldn't be that difficult, but let me just walk you through it. If you go to Tech Guy, I'm the Tech Guy, Labs, these are my labs.com. If you take a look at it, you'll see a picture of me, then you know you're in the right place. You see the episode we're in right now, episode 1065, but right at the top there's a menu bar, episodes, top news, topics, stations, FAQ, products, sponsors. Click the episodes button, and that'll be a list of previous episodes. You can select any episode, and then we divide it up into hours, hour 1, 2, and 3, and questions. So if you hear something in hour 2 of the show from last week, you can go right to the questions. You could see the entire question. You could see, if you click the question itself, you could see my answer. You can even see audio and video after the fact. And then I hope you'll put in comments if you have a thought about it. If there's something that you say, I did this, I opened up my walls and I used XYZ cable, and it worked great. You put that in the show notes. That's great if you can help us out there. It's free to comment, free to read, and it always will be. I know some radio shows charge for access to their content of the website, not us. Our fine sponsors make it possible, so we don't have to charge you anything. So please take advantage of it. TechGuyLabs.com. You'll also, if you go there, you'll also be, you'll find a link to our chat room. Lots of people in there who can answer your questions and have some fun, too. 8888 Ask Leo. Looks like Poe is on the line from Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Poe.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I am well. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. And I've been listening to the show. Great show, man. This may be a little bit of a different question than what you guys have been talking about.
That's great. That's welcome.
Oh, I appreciate that. But I am just wondering about these cell phones, and I'm not trying to get all conspiracy theory on you, man. I just want to know what's up with them being able to listen in on our cell phones, and how much in
well,
the
understand who they are, first of all. So I think you probably everybody probably understands that the phone companies could probably listen in to any phone call they wanted to, right? If you're on an AT&T cell phone, we got to presume that AT&T can listen in. Now, what we know for a fact is that there's a couple of things. First, in the past, the law and the courts have held that information about where you are, who you're calling, what they call the metadata, not the actual call itself, but the data about the call, where you are and who you're calling, does not need a search warrant. So all of the cell phone companies have what they have website portals that law enforcement can go to, and with something called a pen register, they just go there and they pay $1.50, or it's a fairly small fee, although the companies make a significant amount of money because this is used frequently. And law enforcement can say, "Hey, where was Poe on January 28th at 7 p.m.?" And they can check your cell phone records, and they'll say he was right here, and that's that. No search warrant needed for that. And
wow.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Well, that's always been the case. That's been the case for years. And that's the way the law of the land is. If you don't like it, we should all write to members of Congress and say we don't like that. Those records are currently being stored as well by the National Security Agency, the NSA. They store 3 years. They wanted to store 5 years of that information. But the courts recently held they can't. But that's going back and forth. And again, this is all completely legal. What the NSA is not allowed to do, what is illegal to do, is for them to spy on U.S. citizens. However, if they're gathering information about foreign citizens in a conversation with a U.S. citizen, let's say you make a call, Poe, to Morocco, and they feel like who you're calling might be a foreign terrorist, they can listen in then. They do need... Well, they seem to need, although we're not sure about that, a warrant from the secret courts, but we're not sure about that. And they do save all those records because Isn't that good? The secret. They're literally called secret courts. This is FISC, F-I-S-C. You can Google all of this. It's none of United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, and they go to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and they say, "Hey, we think we've got a problem here. Can we listen in on these calls?" And they'll say yes. So that they do need a warrant for. All right. So the problem is that they have capabilities far beyond their legal permission. They could listen in on every call because they collect it all. They could look at everything because they collect it all. And we know that in some cases, we believe rogue contractors and so forth have listened in. They wiretap most of the internet. So, and now remember, Poe, we asked our government to protect us after 9/11. Remember that? I remember the president. I remember the president at that point saying "never again," and telling the security agencies who got in a lot of hot water. Remember all the trouble the FBI, the CIA, the NSA got into after 9/11. Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you protect us? Why didn't you do something about this? And the president said "never again," and we created the Patriot Act. You can go look that up too. That makes it possible for federal agencies to request information secretly. Part of these, there's something called a national security letter. They can go to, let's say, Yahoo. They say, well, we believe that a foreign terrorist is using a Yahoo Mail account to talk to U.S. citizens about terrorist actions. So they send a letter to Yahoo saying we want X, Y, and we want all of this information. And as part of this letter, they can stipulate, and you may not tell anyone, not only the parties involved, but anyone, the public, anybody, that you've received this letter or you're giving us this information. That's top secret. And now this, we believe, happens. These national security letters happen all the time. But we asked for it. We said we want to be protected. And when the agencies, the CIA and the FBI and the NSA, got the directive, protect us at all costs, they knew the only way to do so was to collect every bit of information possible. And then when needed, now they say, well, we don't comb through this information all the time. We're not going on fishing expeditions, but we've saved it. And if we ever need to know what somebody's up to, we can find out. Now, what's interesting, and you see this with this Malaysia flight, don't you? What's interesting is that for all this information gathering, and all the radar and all the information gathering going on, it's not perfect, is it? A passenger plane with nearly 300 people can just disappear, and we have no idea where it is. And so it is an imperfect system, but these agencies are trying to make it better all the time. Now, I don't know how you feel about this man, Edward Snowden. He was a contractor for the NSA, and was given access as a system administrator to a lot of this information, downloaded it all, and absconded with it, and has been slowly revealing it to the press. He gave great big packets of documents from the NSA to journalists in the U.S. and England. And this information has been slowly leaking out since last June. And what it's been telling us is more and more the capabilities of the NSA and other law enforcement agencies in the United States, and they're quite capable. For instance, they have malware, and they have viruses they can inject in people's computers that allow them to use the camera on the computer, the microphone on the computer, to do some really pretty good spying on people. And it turns out this malware has been used, it seems, if you believe the Snowden leaks, very, very, very widely. But we asked them to do it, and they believe they are doing what is lawfully their right and duty. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Never enough time to discuss that topic. It's a big one. It's a big topic. The lovely, I made myself a lovely latte. Would you like a latte, young lady? I can make.
That looks delicious.
Oh, it is. It is fabulous.
Everybody was asking what kind of coffee you had, and I go, well, it looks a little fancy, like an espresso.
Well, yeah, we have a beautiful. Lisa talked to me. We found out that we were spending over $300 a month at Starbucks.
Yes. It's an expensive habit.
It's an expensive habit. So Lisa said, if we just had our own espresso machine, people would make their own coffee, and it would save us in the long run. So let me show you what we have here, because I have a picture of it. Mike Elgin posted a picture of it. And it's quite a lovely Breville. It's called a Breville dual boiler. There it is.
Did you make it?
Yeah.
And the pressure was there?
It's not all the way there. It was going up, but so I think it's the grind, but it does taste good. So, and now very important that you also have an excellent grinder at the same time.
Yeah, something's wrong with the pressure though.
Yeah, there's not the machine, it's the grinder. We just have to find the right grind. It took me a while they're all unique, you know. It took me a while on my set. No, I know, but they're each one is unique. So it took me a while on the one at home to get exactly right. So we have it exactly right at home. I tamped it harder this time, and it got up to about 7.
It did get to 7?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go try it. I'm jealous.
I think you need to grind it as fine as you can. I move it down to 1. Anyway, I will make you,
That
young
sounds
lady.
great.
What would you
sounds
like? A
very
cappuccino?
technical.
Oh, it's very technical. Would you like a cappuccino, a latte, an espresso? What would you like?
What's that?
Kim would like. She's giving us her order right
How
now.
about a cappuccino?
She wants a cappuccino.
No, it's fine.
No sweeteners needed. This is so delicious.
No, I want sweetener.
It's so delicious, and we make this with heavy cream to make it really extra special. It's called Breve. It's quite delicious.
Oh, I'm being told latte's better. So what
No.
do I know?
Latte's too much milk. You chose properly.
I could have gone something crazy like mocha, but that might not even be in the machine.
We do have mocha, I believe. We have that capability as well. So the Coffee Geek, when I bought this setup for my home more than a year ago, 2 years ago, I think. And I asked on Twitter, I said, what should I get? I really want to get a good espresso machine. And Mark Prince, who runs the Coffee Geek website, said, you must get this. This is the Breville dual boiler. It's about $1,000 now. It's gone down, so it's $1,000. And then the coffee grinder is actually very expensive. It's $500. It's a Baratza, Baratza Vario. And you need, as Mark said, it means nothing to have a great coffee maker if you don't have a very good grinder. The grinder is extremely important to the process.
So what is the brand?
It's a Baratza
Baratza.
Vario. And we have it set now all the way to fine. I've got to really work on the grind. No, Breve's not half and half.
So complicated.
It's not once you get it down. Yeah, this is a Burr grinder, of course. I think widely agreed the best grinder, and it's made in America. Breville is an Australian company, and that's considered by some heresy. They say, oh, only Italian espresso makers. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a really, it's a great question Poe asked. How much of our cell phone calls, and it's not just cell phone calls. Just say how much of our phone calls, how much of our email, how much of our web surfing is spied upon. And the safe thing is everything we do can be spied upon. That's the safe thing to say. If you are doing it if you're doing telecommunications of any kind, the means exist for federal agencies, United States agencies in the United States to spy upon us. Period. End of story. We've kind of always known that, right? Wiretapping, right? We've always known that you could be wiretapped, and we've seen it all in movies. You go to a judge, you say, Judge, can we listen to these phone calls? And there's some pretty strict rules and so forth. Those rules were somewhat loosened after 9/11 by the Patriot Act, but they still exist. The NSA says we do not break the law. We are doing what we are lawfully allowed to do, no more. But we need to collect this information because we need to keep America safe. And so I think it's a debate that we need to have. And if you don't like it, there is but one choice, which is to write your member of Congress and let Congress know what the limits should be. And In fact, even some of the authors of the Patriot Act said it's gone too far. It's been going on too long. The Patriot Act will expire next year. So now is a very good time to contact your member of Congress and say, tell them what you want. The problem is I don't think there's widespread agreement. I think we don't want a terrorist attack on our soil. And we do want to be protected. And so there is this, I think, very natural debate over how far we want our... First of all, there's the fundamental question. Do you trust your government? Do you trust the people working at the NSA? Do you trust your military? Because you have to trust them if you're going to give them this power. If you trust them, then do you want them to have this kind of power? And I think that really we need to all think about it and decide. And then contact your member of Congress. And, I have my opinion, and I'm sure you have yours, but it's important to understand what their capabilities are. And from my job as a tech guy is to tell you that they have those capabilities. Absolutely. They have amazing capabilities. They can compromise, I think it's pretty clear from the Snowden leaks, they can compromise any hardware. They can put malware and spy software on any computer, any router, any switch, any network. The United States law enforcement agencies, the NSA in particular, have amazing, sophisticated capabilities. You should pretty much assume that anything you do on a phone system or the internet can be spied upon. The only thing that can't be, and by the way, I love it, that Senator Feinstein, my senator from California, defended all of this until she found out the CIA was spying on her. And then she said, wait a minute. Oh, you mean they're spying on me too? Yeah, they're spying on everybody. Everybody. So now how do you feel? Now what do you think? The capability exists. The only way to have secret communications, and by the way, me telling you this doesn't tell terrorists anything they don't already know. So I want you to, I'm not compromising your safety by saying this. There is a way to have private communications. You can email securely by using strong encryption, PGP, and doing it properly. Even Snowden knew this. In fact, when he first contacted Glenn Greenwald, the journalist he gave this material to, he said, let's use PGP. Glenn Greenwald said, what's that? I don't know how. And that was the source of some friction, I think. But it is possible using what we call end-to-end encryption. That is, I'm encrypted. I encrypt with my keys that I have not given anybody and send it to you, and you decrypt with your keys that you haven't given to anybody. With end-to-end encryption, we can have private conversations. That's the only way to do it. It doesn't exist right now for the phone, although many people are working on that. It does exist for text messaging. Programs like Secure Text do that. And it does exist for email. There's pretty good privacy, PGP, and SMIME. I use and recommend a encryption technology for email called OpenGPG, the GNU Privacy Guard, gpgtools.org, if you want to download those and install them. They have pretty good tools for Windows and Macintosh. GNU Privacy Guard. It's open source, which is good because we can vet the source. We can look at it and say, yes, it does what it says it does, and there are no backdoors for federal agencies. And currently, they cannot, we believe, and I think this is pretty safe to say, they cannot compromise those kinds of encrypted conversations. So if you really want privacy, you can do it. The problem with that is both ends have to understand it, implement it, and use it. So pretty much there it is. And depending on your trust in government and your trust in our law enforcement and your fear of terrorists, you probably have a position one way or the other. I hope you do, and I hope you're learning as much as you can about it. 8888 Ask Leo. We're moving on now. Nathan in Beaumont, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Very cool to talk to you, man.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, okay. So here's my deal. I listen to you guys on iHeartRadio, and I give Verizon way too much of my money.
Do you stream in the car as you're driving around, things like that?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have an internal radio in my work truck. So I was wondering if you could recommend a portable AM/FM radio with a built-in speaker that I could plug into my car adapter.
Yeah, but you still need the internet.
Oh, well, just some that I could pick up over broadcast.
Oh, you want to use broadcast. Oh.
Yeah, that way I can...
So what you're saying, I get it. Okay, so your car doesn't have a radio.
No, it doesn't.
So you want a radio you can put in your car.
Well, I want something portable. Here's the deal. I work on a gourmet food truck, and we have external speakers. So, but we don't have anything internal. So I need something portable that I can put in my pocket when I'm walking around in my commissary and stuff like that, too.
What kind of food?
It's actually shaved ice.
Oh, Hawaiian style or?
Yep. We're a nationwide franchise. Maybe you've heard of the Kona brand.
Yeah, I love shave ice.
Right on.
Yeah. What fun. So my suggestion is to visit a website called ccrane, ccradio.com.
Okay.
They make a huge number of portable radios. They make the best. They really make the best radios. Period. They're kind of old fashioned, right? Because who wants radio?
Yeah.
Who wants radio? What are you talking about? But they have an incredible selection of pocket portable radios. Their CC Pocket radios, $60. Probably do what you want. It does AM, FM. It does weather channels. Probably do what you want, and then you could pipe, take the audio jack out of it and pipe it into your car system or your truck system and drive around. Shave ice! Get your shave ice here! Leo Laporte, the tech guy. T. Yeah, then get a ham license. There you go. And get an ICOM, FM dual band, and you're set. You're right, Chumley. That's the solution. Become a ham. It's easy to get the technician license. I didn't. I should have watched it. ISSA above, huh? ISS above. That's neat. We like that. I think what Padre's doing is very interesting in the afternoon on Fridays. I did see the U.S. giving up ICANN. I think that was kind of, they didn't really have much choice in that, but I'm glad they did. Internet, the trust, and it's all because of the NSA revelations. The world does not trust us. Well, we know MLK. We know that Hoover and the FBI collected a dossier on Martin Luther King, considered him a domestic terrorist. And had they had these capabilities, gosh, I don't know. I put on my webpage at leoville.com, in fact, I should mention how this works. I put my PGP key. So I do it with both signing and I encrypt to a few people who have sent me their keys. Unfortunately, a lot of people can't figure out how to use GPG, so I get a lot of mail encrypted to the wrong key, their key, or I don't know what, that I can't read. But Jesse, This Week in YouTube is effectively moved to Mashable. Lamar decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and is now doing it in Mashable. So there you go. I don't know what he's calling it, but if you search for Lamar Wilson, you'll find it on Mashable. Maybe they're paying him more. I don't know. Yeah, I would wait till one more update for Mavericks comes out. Yeah, that's a huge story. Google Drive price cut. Isn't that great? Terabyte at $10 a month. Do you trust Google? I do, personally, but you'd have to decide that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo's the phone number. Website, techguylabs.com. Carlos is on the line from Southern California. Hi, Carlos. Leo Laporte here.
Yeah, how you doing, Leo?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Leo, I had a two-part question. I'm in the market for buying a TV, and I don't know if I should consider buying a plasma or an LCD. My budget is about $1,500. And what do you recommend? And the second part of the question is real quick. I read a report on the internet that the U.S. is considering to give up the control on the internet. What's the incentive behind that?
Oh, that's an interesting story. Let me answer your TV question first, and I'll get to what exactly just happened. It's not as bad as it sounds. So TV-wise, plasma, and I know Scott Wilkinson agrees with me, plasma is still the best quality picture, but it has some disadvantages. It's got a pretty reflective screen, so and it's not as bright as LCD, so you have to run it in a darkened room. If you wanted to build a home theater with the best quality possible, I'd say plasma. Unfortunately, the companies that make the best plasmas have gotten out of the business, Pioneer and Panasonic, both, because nobody's buying plasma. So I think plasma's kind of dying. You still can get plasma from Samsung and LG and others, but it's dying, and it's too bad because it is the best quality picture in my opinion. However, the other reason it's dying is because LED backlit LCDs have gotten so good that for the most part, it's all people want. They're brighter. They look better in the store, and for that reason, I think people choose them over plasma by several orders of magnitude. So in your price point, all of the big names that LG, Sharp, Samsung, Sony, all make excellent LCDs. But you should look at one from a company called Vizio. Vizio is rapidly becoming, I think, a very well-known company because you see them in the big box stores. They make excellent quality at a lower price. So I would go to your big box store, your Sam's Club or your Costco or your Price Club, and I would look at the Vizio TVs, and I think you'll be pretty impressed.
And pretty much what I'm paying for the other brands is like the name brand. Vizio would be just as good.
90% is good. That's the best quality from the big names. Yeah. And I think in most cases you're not going to see a difference. You're going to be happy with the Vizio. I like the Vizios a lot. It's a second-tier brand, but rapidly becoming first-tier. Now the second-tier brands are the Chinese companies, TCL and Hisense. They're coming into the market big time, and it's too early to tell if they're making TVs that are as good as Vizio or the best Japanese companies, but they're very aggressive, and so you might look at a TCL or a Hisense and see if you like it. So that's kind of third tier, rapidly becoming second tier. So Vizio, check out the Vizios and then the Hisense. Now, let me talk about this giving up control of the internet. We don't really control the internet. No one should control the internet, right? The internet is a global enterprise that no one country should control because of the revelations about U.S. agencies spying on its own citizens and international citizens. There's been increasing pressure on the government to give up oversight of what's called ICANN. Now, remember, the internet was created in the U.S. and was run for a long time by one guy, John Postel, at the University of Southern California. If you needed an internet number, and every server, every computer on the internet needs a number, you'd go to John and he'd give you a number. That was IANA, I-A-N-A. That was superseded by ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Ostensibly, ICANN was run by the U.S. Commerce Department. And then later, the U.S. National Telecommunications and Information Administration. The NTIA is going to let its contract with ICANN lapse. ICANN will be, I don't know if ICANN will be replaced or if ICANN will be, become a non-governmental organization. The real issue is no one trusts the U.S. anymore. This was a, big upshot of the NSA revelations, was that no one trusts the U.S. to run the internet. Not a big deal as long as some other country doesn't start running it. And unfortunately, countries like Russia would like to. So we don't want that. But as long as the internet is essentially non-governmental, kind of doesn't take sides, it should be full, public, and open. And it probably should be, the effort of many governments as opposed to any one government. So I don't think this is a big deal, but we want to watch closely. But, the internet has a way of kind of protecting itself, I think. I'd be much more afraid of, frankly, AT&T and Verizon and Sprint running the internet than of ICANN running the internet. And Comcast. Let's not forget the fabulous Comcast, who's really trying to run the internet in the United States. That's more of a concern for me. I wouldn't worry about ICANN. They assign names and numbers. There's an Internet Engineering Task Force, the IETF, which rules on technologies used, and these are all extra-governmental, international bodies. I don't think you'd have to worry too much about it. Maria, Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, Leo.
Hi, Maria. Welcome.
Hi. Leo, I have a question. I have XP, and I need to update. And my question to you is this. Throughout all the time I have had XP, I have had security virus protection, and nevertheless, I have been invaded by all kind of...
yeah, antivirus won't protect you against yourself, unfortunately.
Exactly. So, exactly, that's the point. So my question to you is, now that I'm considering to buying a new computer, I was considering to buy a Mac.
Not a bad idea. I like Macs for home use.
But that's only because of security issues.
Well, what you should think about is, how do I use this computer? Because that's going to determine what kind of computer you use. If you run programs that require Windows, some businesses do, then you would have to keep buying Windows. Most people, though, and let me ask you if this is you, the way they use a computer is to surf the internet, to buy stuff and browse, and for email.
Yes.
Is that how you use it? Do you use it for anything else?
I don't shop on the internet, but I do buy, but I do use for word process, Excel, email, and internet.
Okay. So the good news is Macintosh has Microsoft Office. It's being updated. It's currently a little old, but it's pretty much the same capabilities as Microsoft Office on Windows. In fact, when Microsoft has announced a new home version that's very affordable, $7 a month, $70 a year. That's a lot less than Office used to cost. It does run on the Macintosh, and when there's an update, it will be updated, and it should be updated later this year. So if Excel is important to you, you certainly can get a Macintosh. They're more expensive than PCs. But in effect, they are priced at the same price as the high-end, high-quality PCs. That is starting around $1,000 to $1,200. And if you got a good quality PC, you'd pay the same amount of money. A lot of times you get less expensive PCs, but it's less expensive components, lower quality screens, and things like that. And Apple just doesn't do that. They say, we're not going to sell a low-end consumer-grade PC. We're going to sell only the high-end. Now, there is another thing to consider, and a lot of people should be considering it, and that is Google's solution, which is called the Chromebook. Now, these are very inexpensive, usually $200 to $500. They're very secure. They're more secure than an Apple, even. If security is your concern, the Chromebooks are a very good choice. Now, Microsoft's made fun of these. I mean, you might have seen the Pawn Stars making fun of these. But really, I think they're good, and I'm going to talk about why right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Skype is an issue, you're right. Although Google Hangouts, I think, are coming close to the capabilities of Skype. Yeah, Chromebox is good. Sandboxy is great for you geek. See, I'm not worried about you geeks. You can keep using XP. Steve Gibson uses XP. You can keep using XP. That's not Maria. And I don't think Sandboxy is a good choice for Maria. I don't think NoScript is a good choice for Maria. For most real-world people, it's too complicated. Geeks know how to protect themselves. And I'm not worried about geeks. I'm worried about somebody like Maria who has an antivirus and still gets bugs all the time. And that's really the issue, you know. Hey, I want to talk real quickly about Gazelle. Let me turn that off there. Our sponsor on these netcasts. You know, the radio show has its own sponsors, but the podcast of the radio show has a separate set of sponsors. We usually do no more than 3 ads in the 3-hour radio show. Actually, it's 2 hours once we edit it down for the podcast. So these guys are really important to making the podcast available to you. So I thank them. And Gazelle is one of the sponsors that we've had for so long. We love them so much. Gazelle is a company that helps you get rid of the old technology and buy new technology. So if you're ready to get rid of your old phone and get a new phone, if you're ready to get rid of your old tablet or your iPod, they will give you cash. They even buy broken iPhones. So let's say here maybe you got a Samsung Galaxy S3. Let's see, or maybe you want the Note. You have the Note 2, and you want to get the Note 3. Very common. So you go to Gazelle.com. And they say, here, we'll give you $110 for that old Note. Oh, I like it. Now this is good for 30 days. So go and find some other stuff. Got an old iPhone 5 you're ready to get rid of? Let's take a look. 32 gigs, good condition. Unlocked $250, base price $200. Wow. Now go on and get some more. Just say get paid, get paid, get paid. What'll happen is you have 30 days to pull the trigger. When you do, they'll send you a box, prepaid mailer. You don't pay postage on anything worth more than $1. Even a broken iPhone is worth more than $1. And you ship it back to them. They turn it around very quickly. Now, a couple of things happen. First of all, they look at the quality of it, and if you underestimated the condition, they'll upgrade your offer. I've never seen a company give you more money than they said, but they will. They will also wipe your data if you forget, and I recommend you wipe your data, but if you forget, don't worry, they'll do that for you. Then they'll send you a check, or you can opt for PayPal if you want it right away. Or if you use Amazon a lot, get the Amazon gift card. That's worth 5% more. They bump it up. I love Gazelle. A great way to get rid of the gadgets with the minimum amount of hassle, no postage. This is it. Just Gazelle.com. Find out why. Over the last few years, they've paid out more than $100 million to more than 700,000 customers. Gazelle.com. What's your Apple or Android device worth? Find out today, and you have 30 days to take advantage of it. Gazelle.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking to Maria. We're helping her buy a new computer because her old XP machine is old and slow. And by the way, Maria, less secure all the time. Starting April 8th, Microsoft says we're not going to even update it anymore. So probably if you've been bit by viruses in the past, now would be a good time.
Okay. Yeah. Leo, the use I do of the computer is very basic, really, just word process, Excel, email.
So a Chromebook, you wouldn't have Microsoft Word, you wouldn't have Microsoft Excel, you use Google Docs. And these are online, you store it online. I think a Chromebook is a good choice for a lot of people. If you get bit by a bug, and you won't, because as far as I know, there are no bugs out there right now for Chromebooks. They have something called Power Wash. You run it, and it's brand new, fresh, out of the box, instantly. There are no antivirus programs because you don't need them.
Okay.
But it is a very simple computer. And I think for a lot of people, buying a Windows or a Mac is more than they need. It's more complex than you need. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want a Mac, the lowest cost Mac is a Mac Mini. You could take your existing PC, keyboard, mouse, and monitor and plug it into the Mac Mini and use it. And we're talking about $700 for that. Mm-hmm. But that's still more than the lowest cost Windows machine. But I think, given your experience with Windows, I don't blame you for wanting to change. You would have to buy Microsoft Office. As I said, they now have a home version that's a lot less expensive than buying the boxed version. I would recommend the Office. They call it Office 365. But you don't have to buy anything additional for a Chromebook. It has all of, has the word processor, spreadsheet, everything. Because it's online, it's Google Docs, is free. I think a Chromebook or a Chromebox, which works like a Mac Mini, it's a little box you plug in your computer, keyboard, mouse, and monitor to, are really good choices. Are you thinking about a laptop at all?
Yes, yes, and I do have a very, very old iPhone, that I bought in 2006, and it's working perfectly well. I no longer use it for the internet because it's not. It doesn't have updates anymore.
Right.
But my question is this: is really to spend that kind of money to buy a Mac is really worth it as far as security? Is really
no.
There is really too much a difference.
You can run Windows securely. Period. You can run Windows securely. You just have to do a few basic things. So I wouldn't buy a Mac just for security.
Okay, that was the question. So
yeah, if you really want to run Windows, you'll get Windows 8.1. That's the current version. The number one thing, and nobody does this, and I wish everybody would do this, just run as a limited user. Do not run as an administrator. That single thing will make you pretty secure. Now, I'm going to put a link in the show notes to an article by the folks from F-Protect. They are a long-time security company and antivirus company, and they've written an article on how to keep Windows XP safe. Now, I know you're getting rid of your XP machine, so you don't need to know about this, but I am going to put this up on the show notes because everybody should look at this and how to use it and how to protect yourself on Windows XP is possible.
Okay, so Leo, if you recommend, if it is the same type level of security between Windows and Mac.
Well, it isn't. Okay, it is if you know what to do. If you're not willing to take care of, to practice safe computing, then a Mac would be safer. A Mac would be safer. But if you get a Windows machine, Maria, the burden now is on you to practice safe computing. If you get a Mac, then you can kind of blithely go along and do dumb things, and you'll pretty much be protected.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, then that's what I need because I am not.
You don't want to take the. Yeah, you don't want to protect. So then I would look at a Mac. I would look at a MacBook Air. You'd be very happy with it. It is easily the best hardware out there. It's light. It's fast. It's $1,299. If you can afford it, I would get it. I think you'll be happy. Now, remember, you're going to add the cost of Microsoft Office, and that's not free. It does come with some Windows machines, but it does not come with any Macintosh. They do come, though, with a lot of good software, including Apple's own Numbers spreadsheet, which might be great for what you do, Pages word processor, and Keynote presentation program. Those programs are excellent, and they do come with your new Mac. So you may find that everything you need is there and sufficient. If not, Microsoft today announced a new version of Office 365 that's designed for home users, and it's as little as $70 a year. So it's pretty affordable, $7 a month. So it's pretty affordable. But you will need to get a copy of something if you don't want to use Apple's own products on your new computer. I'm a Mac fan. I buy almost entirely Macs. But I have to say, for a lot of people, Chromebook, if what you do is browsing an email, Chromebook's plenty, and it's not a bad choice at all, and it's very secure. And I want to say again, it is possible to run Windows completely safely and securely. But the burden is on you to be careful. And since, as you say, you're not willing to, and you've been bit. It's not willing to, but just you don't want to spend any energy. In really to use Windows, you almost have to be a security expert. You kind of have to teach yourself and pay attention and update software on a regular basis, things like that. If you're not that kind of person, there's nothing wrong with that. Then a Mac or a Chromebook would be a better choice. I agree. So good luck, Maria. Thank you. And keep the phone number, because if you have any questions. Somebody said make sure Maria understands if she gets a Mac to allow a couple of weeks to get used to it, because it is everything's just a little bit, you're a little bizarro world, just a little bit different from how you've used it. But Windows 8 would be too. Pretty much anything you get today is going to be a little bit of a learning curve from what you used up to now, because XP is pretty old. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Steve is on the line from Finland. I hope you're using Skype, Steve. Otherwise, this is an expensive call. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm very well. Welcome.
Thank you. Quick question. I appeared on a news show over here a couple of times last week, and they've uploaded the video to their website, but I now want to rip that or download it to my computer so that I've got copies of it. The ones I've tried so far haven't been any good. and I've tried a few. So I'm just wondering if there's any that you know of that you recommend at all.
I presume it's Flash video. Is that right?
Yeah.
There are a number of programs that are designed. Of course, Flash doesn't want to be downloaded. One of the promises that Adobe offers to companies like this television news company you're visiting is that nobody can save this video. It can't be distributed. You won't lose control of it. There's even a checkbox that people can check in the Flash video says cannot be downloaded. However, of course, where there's a will, there's a way, and there are a lot of ways to do this. There's free shareware programs. I'm going to recommend a company called Applian, Applian. Now, these are not free. They're commercial programs, but you can try it free and see if it'll work. And then 30 or 40 bucks US for something that does the job is worth it, right? So they make something called the Replay Media Catcher. You could try it for free, and I would try it on that website before you buy it. It will download pretty much almost any format, including Flash, for use on your computer later. And so I've used their Applian stuff for years. I love it that they offer a free trial. And then if you decide to buy it, most of their stuff is fairly inexpensive. $49.95 US. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stream Recorder was a very good program around for a long time. I didn't know it was still around. VLC will do it. I should have said, and I hope you're still listening. I think he is, Steve. Go to our chat room because they have like 800 recommendations for you. Videoland client is free and will download a lot of the stuff. Keepvid.com. Yeah, let's go to the chat room. Yeah, David. Yeah. I think most TVs are like that, though. Frankly, nowadays. So I'd visit irc.twit.tv, and there's probably going to be a lot of good advice for you in there. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and cell phones, home theater, digital photography, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. If you tuned in for Johnny Jet this hour, I'm sorry he's not here. He's flying, but he'll be on next show to talk about using the internet to improve your travel experience. 888-827-5536 is the number. Our last call last hour asking for ways to download video from the web. We had a lot of good suggestions in the chat room. We will put all of them in our show notes at techguylabs.com. And so, again, free, always open, always accessible. You can go show by show, topic by topic, question and answer by question and answer, and get the information you want. And then if you have a thought or a suggestion and we didn't get it all in there, that stuff you'd like to see there, just add it in the comments. It makes it very more and more valuable as time goes by. techguylabs.com. Teresa on the line from Scotts Valley, California. Hi, Teresa.
Oh, hi, Leo.
Did you know that you live in a famous tech area?
Yes.
Scotts Valley was the home of Borland International, which was really transformed computer programming. Many a hard drive company there, too.
Yeah, a lot of them have left.
I know. Now it's back to Santa's Village.
Yeah.
No, that's gone, too. What can I do for you, Teresa?
My boss is in real estate, and she gets a lot of spam emails, and she says the spam filter isn't enough, and she wants a spam blocker. Do you have anything?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, really?
I see a lot of people use these, and especially if this is a business address, the last thing you want is people to jump through hoops to get to you. Mm-hmm. And so there are these spam blockers where I would send an email to your boss, and I would get an email back saying, well, she gets too much spam, so verify you're a human being. That, first of all, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's going to block more than it saves. And it lets spammers know, by the way, this is a good address. So once you start using that, you can never stop. So don't. Use Gmail.
And why is that?
Because Gmail is a brilliant anti-spam solution. Now, she probably has a business address, it's a real estate company, so she probably has a public business address. She'll have to forward that through Gmail. People don't have to see, her name at gmail.com. In fact, you probably don't want to, you want to use 123456789 at gmail.com, not a real name and address. And then just have her email address forward to the Gmail, and then she can even pick it up either at Gmail or have it go back to her mail server. The reason Google does such a good job of fighting spam, and by the way, I used to use a lot of commercial grade, business grade anti-spam filters and stuff. I've stopped entirely because Gmail does such a good job. And the reason it does a good job is because it's doing something called collaborative spam fighting. So it's searching through the email for all the obvious spam triggers. If it sees Viagra or any variation of Viagra, that's spam and kills it. But it also allows its own users to flag mail as spam. And if you use Gmail, take advantage of this. If you ever do get spam, there's a button right on the Gmail interface that says, this is spam. And what happens is Gmail keeps track of that. And if 50 people say, I just got this spam, everybody else who that message would be going to it'll be immediately eliminated. Because humans are better at detecting spam than any computer can be. So, without doubt, the best anti-spam system out there now is Gmail, period. It just works. Now, if she doesn't want to use Google for some reason, there are other solutions that use similar collaborative filters. The one that comes to mind is onlymyemail.com. And this is a commercial spam filter that she might prefer. And it does the same thing, which is it does the basic spam filtering. Everybody can do that. The problem is spammers are smart, and they've got all sorts of unique ways of spelling Viagra. So, right? They do V space, the number 1 space, IGR space A. And no spam filter, because they're spam filters, computers. They're very literal. No spam filter will see it, although they're getting better and better at that. Only My Email does the same kind of thing using human collaborators as well as computer filters, and it's quite good. If she doesn't want to use Gmail, Gmail's free. You'll have to pay for Only My Email, but if she's uncomfortable for perhaps having her email go through Google's server, some people are worried about that. I don't. Doesn't bother me. But she can pay for the service, and Only My Email is pretty much as good as Google. onlymyemail.com. Okay, and I hope you get a promotion and a raise, because once your boss stops getting spam, she's going to say, Teresa, you're brilliant. You don't have to mention my name.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Google does such a good job of it that I don't really worry about it. I used MailRoute for a long time. We've done advertisements for them. They're a commercial service. It does a very good job, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate recommending them. But I don't think you need a paid service because, for a long time I used MailRoute. Everything went through MailRoute, and I was really worried when I turned MailRoute off. I thought, am I gonna suddenly get flooded? Because they were literally stopping tens of thousands of spam messages a day. Because my email address has been out there for 15 years. It's on every spam list there is. And I thought, I turn this off, I'm gonna get flooded. Nope, Google got it all. Google does a really, really good job, commercial grade job for free. I get so little spam on Gmail. The only spam I get nowadays comes from other services that I use, frankly. That's good news because the spam isn't going away. You may say, I use Gmail, I don't ever see any spam. That's not because you're not getting spam. Almost more than 90% of all the email traffic on the internet now is unsolicited commercial email or spam. That's the name that techies like to use because they don't want to violate Hormel's trademark. Poor Hormel. They actually make spam. And for a long time, they tried to fight this. It's like fighting the tide. It's like King Canute saying, roll back, ocean. You just can't do it. So they've just kind of accepted that people understand there's a difference between the pork shoulder in a can spam and unsolicited email spam. But the techies use UCE, unsolicited commercial email, as the technical term to avoid that. JR is in Detroit. Hi, JR. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, JR, you're on.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here. Let me turn this speakerphone off.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your voice right up against the microphone.
Yeah. Okay. You got me?
I got you.
Okay, great. Hey, I've called you a number of times. I'm your Linux friend.
Welcome back.
Detroit.
Welcome back, Linux
Yep.
friend from Detroit.
Yep. Okay, listen, this is way out of my league, so I have to ask you. My mother, 76 years old, she has gotten to the point she wants to write her memoirs.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah, it is. And she's not into computers. She's really very, very little experience. My dad had one for years. He got rid of his back when Vista came out and got just kind of, just said the heck with that. So she wants a laptop, and a friend of hers is doing something similar and has been using Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Oh, that's neat. So she can dictate to it, huh?
So, yeah, right. And I've already made the recommendation. You're going to need a printer, and I said laser printer is the way to go, so just get that out of the way. No big deal, but as far as computers go, I don't know. I've been building Linux machines and servers and that for years. I don't know zero about laptops or what's going on in this marketplace.
She's 76. She's sure she wants a laptop?
That's what she says she wants, yes.
Okay, because one of the disadvantages of laptops, of course, is screen size. And as your eyesight gets worse, sometimes the ability to have a big screen is a good idea. Tell you what, we got to take a break. Hang on. I will help you buy a laptop for Mom when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking to JR in Detroit. A 76-year-old mom wants to write her memoir. She's never had a computer. She needs a computer and a printer. Why does she need a printer?
Well,
is she gonna take the manuscript and mail it somewhere?
I'm not sure, Leo.
I don't think she really needs a printer. I'll be honest with you, but okay.
Yeah, but she wants.
She wants one, so we're gonna get her one.
Right.
She wants a laptop. Dictation is a very poor choice. Most dictation just does not work well, and it can be more frustrating than it is supportive. I mean, you could get Dragon, but it's only about 90% accurate. Now, that sounds really good. That means 1 word in 10 you've got to fix. Can she not type? Can she not type?
She's very capable. Incredibly intelligent, actually.
Yeah, I understand. No, I'm not in many way demeaning her intelligence or abilities, but this is all a new world, right? Can she type?
So, I don't think she's able to touch type, no.
So, and of course, as you get older, typing is more and more uncomfortable. There are ways to record and have it transcribed that are better, frankly, than Dragon. And in fact, she wouldn't even need a computer. If she has trouble typing, a computer is probably not a very good choice.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to talk her out of it, but if she finds it difficult to type, dictation is not a substitute. It really isn't. You can dictate a little bit, but it's just difficult. It's just. I mean, so yes, you can get a Windows PC and a Dragon Naturally Speaking. They actually have it on the Mac as well, although the Windows version's more complete. Dragon Dictate does a decent job, as I said. It's just not perfect.
Okay, does that have something to do with the quality of the microphone?
No. Well, yeah, you got to get a good microphone, et cetera, but it really has to do with the fact that computers are not human. And one of the things that's very hard to do is to understand speech because the computer doesn't understand context. So it's very difficult for the computer to correctly transcribe. Yeah, a human can do it because we are attuned to figuring out what that person meant when they said, blah, blah, blah. And the computer goes, I don't know what you said. And not to mention the problem of homonyms, words that are spelled differently but sound the same. It's never perfect. Now, a lot of people use it. My friend David Pogue uses it for all of his indexes. You may see doctors and radiologists use it because they have a constrained vocabulary. It works quite well there. But this is not my experience. It's not great. So, but she wants it. So we're going to get her a laser printer. I'm just telling you, you're going to hear from her about a month saying, this is a bad idea. A laser printer, Windows laptop. Does she want thin and light? What does she want, a big screen? What is she looking for?
Well, I would imagine, being 76 years old, the screen needs to be readable. Something she can see. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either. I'll tell you, my favorite Windows laptop right now is the Acer ACER S7 or the R7. They're very nice. Very few companies make 17-inch screens anymore. They're all 15-inch. And yeah, the S7 or the R7 are very nice. I'm going to recommend a wonderful, now I use this with my mom and my dad, and I love it. It's a website called Storyworth. Sometimes it's hard.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's hard to get writing. So what Storyworth does is you set it up for every week. It sends her an email with a question that she can then, by the way, respond to by phone if she wants. She can record her answer and it can go to you. Depends on how much intervention she wants. If she's feisty and independent and says, I'm just going to do it myself, this wouldn't necessarily be a good solution. But the beauty of this is it sends her questions. You vet the questions. You can choose which ones you want and don't want. It stimulates her, thought processor, gets her writing, and it's really fun. I mean, the questions.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I love it. I really love it. I did this with my mom and dad, and I got such great stories out of them. And it does allow her to phone in her answer. So, so the questions are like, what is your first memory ever? What are some choices you made about how to raise me? What is your favorite children's story? How did you figure out how to be a parent? Things like that. It doesn't have to all be about you and your relationship. It's really, this is a lovely little website, storyworth.com. But again, I don't, Dragon Dictate, a Windows PC. The Dragon, if you get the box set, comes with a headset that works well with it. She has to spend some time training it.
Yeah, that's about, around 600,
Yeah, it's expensive. You don't have to get the top of the line Dragon Dictate. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at nuance. I think $300 is sufficient. You don't need to get the very best. Let me ask you this.
I've seen the Chromebooks have made a lot of progress here recently, and I know you have had.
I'm a fan of those, and that's a way for her to run Linux without having to see Linux, but it doesn't do dictation.
It doesn't do dictation. Yeah. Anything you've heard of that possibly that will happen?
Well, I think Google's going to. Yes, Google will. Actually, I take it back. It does do dictation. They just add. I'm sorry, that does. They just added to Google Docs. They added dictation capability. So I forgot about that. So you can, and you know what? You should try it yourself. And see if it first. And maybe even invite her over and say let's play with this, because then you don't have to buy anything, just a Chromebook, and that might be perfect for her.
Well, you know what, we've got a Best Buy store right around the corner from where the both of us live. We only live several 5 miles apart from each other, and they have Chromebooks in there. And what's your favorite Chromebook?
The new Samsung is the nicest. It's got more memory, little faster processor. It may not be in the store just yet, but Samsung's doing a new Chromebook. You'll know it's the new one because it's got the stitched pleather that they've made famous now on the Galaxy Note 3. I think,
Samsung.
Yeah, the Samsung. And by the way, you could get her a big external monitor and have her use that with the Chromebook.
Plugged into that, so it's easy to see.
Easier to see.
That's a good idea.
So that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think Google's dictation is as good, if not better. Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad I called you.
Yeah.
She's hot. She wants to spend the money, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you want to, you don't want her to buy a white elephant that ends up in the closet.
Yeah. Okay.
So Google Docs dictation is a plug-in that you can use with Google Chrome. If you Google it, you'll see, and it's actually does quite a good job using Google's own dictation capabilities. I have to say these Chromebooks have gotten better and better, frankly. Hey, thanks for the call. This is a tough one. You really want to support Mom. This is great for her to write her memoirs. Woohoo! But you just got to give her something that's going to work for her in the long run. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by, as always, Ring Central. And I mean that because when we first moved into our studio many moons ago, we installed a Ring Central phone system. And we are using it here almost 3 years later, and so happy with it. I didn't want to, the traditional way when you start a business or you build a new building or studio is to go to the phone company and they put this big machine in your basement called a PBX, and you got to get a technician out here to maintain it and to configure it. And I thought, I don't want to do that. And we live in the cloud. We're a cloud-based business. Seems to me we ought to be able to do something in the cloud. Russell Tammany, our IT guy, brilliant guy, he had installed Ring Center for several clients. He mentioned it. We tried it, and we are so happy. One of the things that's neat about a cloud-based system, besides the fact that the cost is right, less than $25 per month per user, and that includes the ability to use your cell phone to make business calls from our 800 number, because they have a great Ring Central app. You can receive and send texts from our 800 number, send and receive faxes, voicemails in your inbox, faxes in your inbox, all sorts of great things. But they keep adding features, and this is one of the things I really like. They've just added a meetings feature. So in addition to all the other great stuff, the auto receptionist who greets the callers, announces employees and department extensions, now we can host face-to-face meetings in high definition, not just with other Ring Central customers, with anybody, with our clients or their colleagues. They'll see our desktop or documents. They'll see our faces in high definition. I love cloud-based stuff because they can add features without, any effort on our part. We would have had to get new hardware probably from the phone company, but they can just build it right in. Mobile apps on Android and iOS, multi-point HD video meetings around the world. This is so slick. Ring Central. All-inclusive pricing under $25 a month per user, and you can start right now with a 30-day risk-free trial. A special offer for our listeners. When you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free, up to a total of 20 phones. And, of course, you get the meetings feature. It's just part of the deal. So call this number, just for you, my listeners, 800-543-9980, 800-543-9980, or go to ringcentral.com. You can learn all about all the features Ring Central offers, and then use the promo code TWIT to get 30 days free. ringcentral.com. Use the promo code TWIT. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, we found something very interesting. So a couple of things about dictation. Of course, the commercial packages like Drag and Dictate cost a couple $100. They do a good job. But lately, you probably noticed Apple with Siri and Google with its voice commands have started to do a lot of dictation and do a pretty good job, frankly. And they're free if you have those devices. If you have a computer running Google Chrome, Mac or PC, there are ways you can use dictation right off the Google Chrome API. I am told, and I was mistaken, JD, that the Google Docs will have this capability. They don't yet. Marcus Brownlee, who is very smart, young guy, lives in New Jersey and does a YouTube channel, MKBHD, where he reviews and talks about stuff, did have a scoop, hasn't yet come true. He said this is going to be a capability, and he showed a screenshot in Google Docs soon to be able to dictate. But it's already in the Chrome API. So if you have an up-to-date computer and an up-to-date version of Google Chrome, go to dictation.io. This is a website, dictation.io. And it's kind of amazing. It actually can take dictation from your computer on the fly. You can clear it, start it, restart it, and in fact, export it out as words into a text file. So let me just try it. I'm going to start dictating right now to dictation.io, and it will get, again, about 90% right. And this is one of the problems with dictation on computers, is that last 10% seems to be so very difficult. And it means you have to go back and correct. a lot. I have to say, though, this is pretty impressive. I would get Mom, JD, I would get Mom using this, dictation.io. You need to be using a Chrome browser. And you can dictate into a document and then save it out, which makes it pretty easy for, she could hire a college kid to edit it and correct it. You do need to state punctuation out loud. So if you want to end a sentence, you say period. You can also say exclamation mark. And you can say new paragraph, and that'll start a new paragraph. Most dictation systems work kind of like that. I'm pretty impressed by this. This is going to give you an idea of what the state of the art is anyway, and it'll give Mom an idea of what she can expect, even with drag and dictate. It seems to do a very good job. It also, and I like this feature, and this is part of Chrome's capabilities, it understands a variety of accents. So one of the failings of a lot of systems is you have to have a U.S. normal accent. But Chrome gives you a variety of languages and accents, so you can have an Australian, Indian, Canadian, South African, New Zealand, United Kingdom accent, but you can also speak in German, French, Zulu, all sorts of languages. So that's pretty impressive as well, I have to say. Worth a try. This is new to me. I hadn't seen this before. Dictation.io, and it uses your computer's own microphone. The better the microphone, of course, the better the dictation quality will be. And then it allows you to save it out. So this you can do on a Chromebook easily without buying anything expensive. But it'd be good for her to see how it works at her normal speech and normal speech patterns. So take her to that store and take a look. David on the line from Sherman Oaks, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David. Hello, David. Hello, David. Anybody there? He says, I'll tell you. Oh, there you are. Hi, David.
Hey, Leo. So I got an HDTV from a yard sale. It's one of those older HDTVs, the ones that kind of look tubey.
Yeah.
Tube?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you get it home? That thing must have weighed 300 pounds.
It was 42 inches, so it wasn't that bad.
Those things were big and heavy, weren't they?
It was pretty bad. And so I took it and I turned on the TV. The picture is fine, but the screen has a lot of yellow marks on it. Like I guess I was talking to the screener, and she said that maybe it was burnt, and I just don't know.
Well, yellow. Okay, so the screen, you say it looks fine, except yellow marks aren't fine. So are the yellow marks always in the same place?
Yeah, always in the same place.
Okay. And do you see them when the tube is off?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not burning. If the TV is off entirely and you see the yellow marks, that sounds like it's damage to the CRT. Is it a rear projection television?
It's an old Sony. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's okay. And it's a glass when you tap it's a CRT. When you tap the glass, it's glass, right?
No, it's like a LCD type of...
Oh, okay. It is a projector. All right. So that means that the screen... So these are rear projection TVs, I believe. It feels like plastic. It doesn't feel like glass on the front.
Right.
Okay, that means that what you're actually looking at is a screen, just like a projector screen, and the projector is built into the back of the TV shining through it. It's called rear projection. That screen is damaged. How big are the yellow marks?
It's pretty much all over the TV.
Yeah.
And they're probably like a hand, like a hand print, like all
like a handprint.
Size.
Yeah, I think that screen is damaged. I'm not sure exactly what's happened. Somebody in the chat room says if the previous owner was a smoker, believe it or not, you can have nicotine stains on the screen. It is a projection screen. It sounds like. You're going to need to replace the screen. This is not something you can wash with Windex and have it get better. It could very well be, believe it or not, nicotine stains. It sounds like it is. And somebody in the chat room said, yeah, I had a TV just like this. A smoker owned it. But on the other hand, Abstruse says, I smoke a pack and a half a day, and I never had a problem with that. So I don't know. Do you have a model number on the TV? Somebody in the chat room wants to know.
I'm at work, so I'm not close to the TV right now.
It's one of those things there aren't going to be parts for because it's pretty old. It's going to be hard to get replacement parts. But if you could, I think replacing the screen would probably fix it. Is it possible? Let me ask the chat room this. Is it possible that's just bulbs? Problem with the bulb? I don't think so. These projectors have bulbs in the back. I think not because it's always in the same spot. And that sounds to me like it's the actual screen and not the bulb. But other than that, this is ancient technology. I hope you didn't pay a whole lot for it. I really don't think it's fixable. I'll be honest with you. Sorry, David. Unless you can find somebody that can give you the parts. Jerry's on the line from Orange, California. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Leo. I called and you helped me in November, and I have a very interesting problem. My laptop, I have put a program on it that has a 30-day free use, and then you're supposed to send off for an email and send off for an activation code. And embedded in this is a request for the machine ID. So I do this, I send off for the activation code, they send me the activation code, I put it in, and when I put it in, it has a different, when I go to open it up again, the next time it opens this program, my machine ID is changed. Now, I've done some research on my own, and I have no clue why my machine ID is changing, because all the internet research I see is saying, that machine ID is connected to your, IP address, etc.
First of all, what is the program?
Well, it's a proprietary program called Performance DNA Desktop. So
okay.
I'm going to be a licensed user, and they've given it to me. What's interesting about this is that it also is not counting down the days, meaning I'm supposed to get 30 days for free, and it's stuck on 25 more days. So
well, that's good. It may never care.
Except it's a little bit annoying, and it is telling me that.
Hold on. We got to take a break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. I've been talking with Jerry, who has, this program. I went to the website for the company that makes this program, and it's down, Jerry.
It's not it isn't the website. So the whole thing is actually installed. I've been
but wait a minute. Oh. Is it from Outcome Systems?
Yes, it is from Outcome
Okay,
Systems.
so first of all, software like this is very expensive, is what we call vertical software, specialized software, and it's often heavily copy protected. I don't know what your machine ID is. So did they tell you how to get the machine ID?
Yeah. It's one of the authors. I was sitting with one of the authors a couple of weeks ago, and she looked it up. She was totally bamboozled because, she said that the machine ID is basically the computer, the laptop, telling them that this is the machine it's supposed to go on.
I don't understand, though. There is no such thing as a machine ID. So that's my question: is what number are they talking about? There's the MAC address. That does not change. There might be a GUID, but I'm not sure what they mean by machine ID. So they must have given you some tool to figure out what the machine ID is. The other side of this is because the website's down, often copy protection schemes require a ping to the website, to the server. They probably have a copy protection server running. I would guess that that's why the counter hasn't changed. They're not able to authenticate because the website or the company's website is down. So it sounds like the software is working, right? If it's working and the timer isn't changing, then I would not worry about this. I'm a little worried that the company might have scammed you. I don't know who they are, and this machine ID, if it's changing, obviously makes no sense as a means of copy protection. So I'm just kind of bamboozled myself. I would guess that you should try to call them. And if nobody answers, then I would go to my credit card company and say, I want my money back. Because if they have copy-protected software and they're out of business, you can't use it. And at some point, it'll stop working. I think this whole thing sounds a little shady, to be honest. So see if you can call them on a landline and talk to somebody and ask them what's going on. What is my machine ID? Why is it changing? Should never, if it's being used for copy protection, it should never change. Why is the countdown timer not working? And what happened to your website? All of these seem bad indicators. The good news is I'm sure you used a credit card, and you can go to your credit card company and say, I want my money back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's Dickie D, Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, joins us every week with the Gadget of the Week. Hi, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing?
I am well.
Good. You know, there's an interesting thing about gadgets is if you never heard of it, you can still be impressed and think it's brand new.
Right. I think this modem thing is really exciting. Have you heard about those?
That's never going to catch on.
You hook it up to a telephone and you can get the internet.
No, I could have collected $200 from my partner, Dennis Wunderland, for this thing. He bought a new tower at Christmas.
A Tower PC?
Tower PC.
Not
has
the Tower
Windows
of
8.
London. Okay.
No. Right. Has Windows 8 on it. And he said, I can't put Illustrator on it, which is the program I use 99% of the time.
He's a graphic design artist. He can't use Illustrator on his Windows PC?
Not on Windows 8.
They didn't update it?
They updated it to a whole new thing that's like $1,500.
Oh, Lordy.
Right. So he said, I'd love to use the Windows 8, but I'd love to still use this one. Should I just buy another monitor and a keyboard and a mouse? And I said, no. I'm going to get you a present. A KVM switch.
He said, what's that? Is that something new?
Yes, exactly. I said, so I got it, Leo. It was $17.
Oh.
He really thought, is this going to be like $100? If you want to have one monitor, two towers, use one keyboard and one mouse.
And just switch back and forth.
Yes, there's a hardwired remote that you put on your desk, and he didn't care about sound, so it's $17. If you want it so that it also switches over a USB mic and switches over powered speakers, that version was $26.
And where did you get this $17?
At Amazon. They're IO Gear.
Oh, IO Gear. I've used IO Gear for years.
IO Gear.
KVMs. They're great.
They are great, and everything is in the box. You don't need any power. All the cables are molded in. It took me exactly 5 minutes to install his, and then I thought, you know what? I have an old tower that I would love to look at sometime. I bought the wired version with the video the audio for myself for $26.
We used to use these on the screensavers. That's how long this company's been around.
Yes, they have been. One little thing, though.
Don't tell Dennis. It's brand new.
Yes. If you lay the switch on your desk and you're sloppy like I am, you one day will accidentally drop papers on the switch and it'll go to the other monitor. If the other computer's off, you will have a black screen and you will go crazy trying to think, why is my screen black? And I rebooted and I did all this and I kept thinking, did this computer die? And then I thought, oh, wait a minute. I accidentally switched over to the computer that's off.
You silly.
So, yes. If you check gizwiz.biz and go to the tech guide, you'll see a picture of the actual one that I think you're just finding it now.
Gizwiz.biz. That's Dick's website, gizwiz.biz. And not only can you find notes for all the stuff. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. Very simple. The IO Gear 2-point USB cable KVM switch. It has audio and mic connections. That's cool. Very affordable. But you'll also find the What the Heck Is It contest there. A chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine if you can figure out what this gadget is. Looks like a pacifier for a robot. But
now that I'm not saying anything, but I like that.
You're playing for the 2014 issue of June 2014 issue of Mad Magazine. Dick will autograph it himself. 12 autographed copies for the right answer, but there's far more for the wrong answer as long as it's clever. Details at gizwiz.biz. Thank you,
Sir.
Dickie D.
Thank you, sir.
Stick around. We're going to do the Giz Fizz right after the radio show. And, of course, the GizWiz podcast is at twit.tv/GizWiz, and you can listen every week. Dick has lots of silly gadgets and some useful ones, like a KVM switch. Yeah, we used those at the Screensavers for years.
Yeah, they're super.
Really cool. Thank you, Dickie D.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thanks to all of you. We do the show each and every weekend right here. I hope you will come back every weekend and listen on your favorite radio station. We have the website is techguylabs.com. The show notes are there with links to questions, answers, everything I mentioned. There's audio and video there after the fact. If you missed the show, you can always go back and hear it or watch it because we do shoot video for reasons no one understands. So thank you very much, and make sure you check that out, techguylabs.com. Thanks very much to Kim Schaefer. You'll be back tomorrow one more time?
I will be back.
And then Heather will be back from her trip to Africa. We'll get pictures of her and a lion. Her selfies. I appreciate it. Thanks to Nathan Staten back at the studio, our musical director in charge of all things, all button pushing. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.